lost fans, she lost followers, she even lost a potential gig with filmmaker Spike Lee. When the news broke, Spike Lee posted on Instagram, "I was thinking about using Chrisette's song Black Girl Magic in my Netflix series."
My question has always been, what was Travis Green's intention? I just want to know. Because his album became #1.
There was a moment when Chrisette Michele felt like the future of R&B. That kind of voice, rich, real, trained in choirs and sharpened on jazz stages, didn't just show up every day. She had Grammys in her 20s, features with rap legends, and a sound that cut through the noise like it had somewhere sacred to go. But in this business, one decision can flip everything. And for Chrisette, it wasn't a bad album or a messy tweet. It was one performance that changed how the world saw her. This is the story of how one of R&B's most promising voices got caught in the crossfire of politics, culture, and timing, and what happens after the spotlight fades.
I'm the only one, you're the only one, together.
There was a time when Chrisette Michele felt untouchable. Not in a cocky, industry-hardened way, but in that soft-spoken, church-trained, real singer kind of way that made people believe in R&B again. Her voice didn't just sing, it spoke, delicate when it needed to be, raspy and raw when it hurt, and powerful enough to slice right through a chorus of radio fluff. Before the controversy that would later consume her name, Chrisette was the one critics and fans alike were betting on. Her debut single, Be Okay, a collaboration with will.i.am, didn't just get her a Grammy, it got her a seat at the grown folks table. While she was still in her 20s, she was different. While the industry was busy chasing club records and auto-tune highs, Chrisette leaned into live instrumentation, real lyrics, and jazzy, soul-rooted vocals. People respected her. Artists called her in when they needed something real. Nas, Jay-Z, The Roots, even Rick Ross wanted that Chrisette Michele touch. For a minute there, she wasn't just surviving in the music industry, she was thriving in it on her own terms. But the very thing that gave her a platform, her voice, her visibility, her connection to culture, would later become the thing that put her in the center of one of the most unexpected firestorms R&B had seen in years. When her debut album I Am dropped in 2007, it felt like something was shifting in R&B. Artists like Amy Winehouse and Alicia Keys had cracked open the door for emotional, instrument-heavy soul again, and Chrisette walked right in with elegance. Songs like If I Have My Way, and Love Is You.
Love is you, love is you.
Showcased her buttery tone and emotional depth, while Be Okay became the breakout, light and upbeat on the surface, but filled with real-life vulnerability beneath the groove. The industry paid attention. I Am didn't just debut, it announced her. The album went gold, the Grammy came quickly, and she was getting calls from the big dogs. Jay-Z tapped her for Lost one of the more emotionally revealing tracks of his Kingdom Come album. And she made it her own. Nas, another rap heavyweight known for being selective, brought her in for Can't Forget About You. These weren't just features, they were cosigns, heavy ones. And then the Trump thing happened. Chrisette has opened up about that moment, the one that flipped her whole career upside down. After all this time, she's breaking her silence and walking through the mess that followed her decision to perform at Trump's inauguration. Yeah, that performance. And once the internet caught wind of it, things got ugly fast. She didn't step on that stage with bad intention. Her plan, just sing a feel-good track with Travis Green. Something light, something hopeful. And for Travis, it worked out. He dropped a new project, crushed the charts, and hit the road globally. Meanwhile, Chrisette, she got the short end of the stick, hard.
My question has always been, what was Travis Green's intention? I just want to know. Because his album became #1.
People went in on her. Fans dipped. Industry folks kept their distance. Suddenly, she wasn't just an artist with a controversial gig. She became the poster child for cancellation.
She lost fans, she lost followers, she even lost a potential gig with filmmaker Spike Lee. When the news broke, Spike Lee posted on Instagram, "I was thinking about using Chrisette's song Black Girl Magic in my Netflix series."
everything snowballed fast, and she paid the price while her duet partner walked away untouched. It wasn't about making a political statement. She thought she was doing something positive, but that one move changed everything, and she's been carrying the weight of it ever since. People definitely clocked the difference. That performance didn't launch her into some big new chapter. It slammed the door shut. And once the noise died down, all she had was the silence. The kind that makes you sit with yourself, rethink everything, and ask some hard questions you've been dodging. Back then, Chrisette wasn't in the best headspace. She was trying to be more than just the singer with a pretty voice. She felt like she had something to prove, like people didn't see her as anything past the songs. And that pressure? It hits different, especially for Black women in the industry. The unspoken need to always be more. Smart, socially aware, bold enough to take a stand, but soft enough not to scare anyone off. So when the offer came in, she didn't see politics. She saw a shot at being heard in a different way. She thought maybe showing up meant something, that she could shift the energy, bring something good to a complicated moment. But looking back with fresh eyes, she saw it for what it really was. Way too hopeful, kind of off base, and way too centered on her own idea of helping. She wasn't just wrong about how big the moment was. She thought she could carry it all by herself. But the part that really hit later, she didn't realize how deep it would cut for the people who'd always had her back. Back then, she thought she was moving with good intentions, but with some distance it was clear. A lot of it came from fear. Fear of what was happening around her. Fear of being left out of big conversations. Fear that maybe she wasn't doing enough. And mixed in with all that, a need to do something, even if she wasn't fully sure what that something should be. These days, she moves differently. Instead of trying to force her way into every cause, she's learning to chill, to listen, to show up without needing to run the show. She's got her eyes on the folks already doing the real work, the ones grinding behind the scenes, not asking for applause. And she's cool with that. Turns out, sometimes the most solid move is knowing when to step back and follow someone else's lead. The real emotional storm didn't hit the night she sang. It started after. She started questioning everything. Did folks think she sold out for a check? Was it a clout move? Or was it deeper? Did it feel like she turned her back on the same people who lifted her up? That kind of self-check isn't easy when headlines are dragging you and the internet's calling you everything but your name. But she didn't chalk it up to haters. She wanted to know what was under the anger. Because sometimes people aren't coming for your neck just to be messy. They're hurt, disappointed, and when you actually care about who you're singing for, you don't just brush that off and keep it moving. You sit with it, no matter how uncomfortable it is. So that's what she did. She didn't run. She sat with the mess, prayed through the shame, and started owning the fallout. For her, taking accountability wasn't about clapping back or cleaning up her image. It was about figuring out what went wrong and why it mattered.
So I learned that, even if I have something to say, if it hurts somebody, it's okay to say I'm sorry.
Getting canceled wasn't just people unfollowing or gigs drying up. It hit way deeper than that. For Chrisette, it felt more like the universe telling her to hit pause. Not to explain herself, not to spin it. Just stop, sit still, be quiet for a second. And weirdly, that silence started teaching her more than any platform ever did. She began watching instead of reacting, listening instead of speaking. She paid attention to the people around her, how they were organizing, building, showing up for each other without all the noise. And she had to ask herself, was she moving from a place of panic? Or actually showing up with some real care and intention? She started realizing being useful doesn't always mean being front and center. Sometimes it means just being grounded, being real, showing up without needing to take over. And that might have been the biggest shift of all. Redemption didn't come with a big speech or some perfect comeback moment. It started when she stopped trying so hard to be understood, when she stopped trying to fix how people saw her, and started focusing on why things went down the way they did. Chrisette finally got that not every room needed her to speak up. Not every situation needed her to lead. And that didn't mean she was irrelevant. It meant she was finally okay with just being a person. A flawed, learning, growing person. And for the first time in forever, that actually felt like enough. She definitely wasn't the only one who caught heat. A bunch of artists got straight up torched online for political moves. Some bold, some messy, and some just ill-timed. People weren't shy about dragging them, either. The Chicks, back when they were still going by their old name, made one comment about the president at a show overseas, and boom, radio stations dropped them like a bad habit. Fans ditched them, and country music basically iced them out for years. Then there was Kanye, who kinda turned chaos into his brand. Between the red hat, random pressers, and running for president like it was a merch drop,